Archaeology of Dark Shadows. By 1967, Dark Shadows had officially become a gothic horror soap opera. It began in 1966. The paranormal had been hinted at from the very beginning. But by 1967, vampire Barnabas Collins, portrayed by Jonathan Frid, had made the show a mega hit for Dan Curtis Productions and ABC TV. The program featured an amazing ensemble cast. A few of the cast was doing double duty in 1967, you see, by appearing in a videotaped TV movie, The Crucible, based on the play by Arthur Miller. And lending their talents were Clarice Blackburn, who played Mrs. Johnson, and Abigail Collins, up to that point in Dark Shadows, and she played Goody Putnam in the Crucible. Thayer David, one of my favorite actors from the show, had played Matthew Morgan and Ben Stokes. He portrayed Mr. Putnam, Goody Putnam's husband. And Dana Elcar, who played Sheriff Davenport on Dark Shadows, took the part of the Marshal in The Crucible. Also appearing was Kathleen Cody, though she did not appear on Dark Shadows until much, much later. She was quite young in this production. She appeared on Dark Shadows towards when it was in its waning period, and she was in the flashback to the 1840s and the run-up to that, which was, I believe, the last time Dark Shadows took place on TV in our time band. After that, it ended in parallel time. Anyways, there were pretty strong connections to Dark Shadows. Blackburn and Thayer and Elcar's roles were not much different than those they played on Dark Shadows. And interestingly, Dark Shadows 1795 flashback borrowed from The Crucible, I believe. Victoria Winters was hunted as a witch by the Reverend Trask, who had been summoned to the Collins estate by Abigail Collins, and he came from Salem, where he had been a witch hunter. So there is that connection, the witch hunt and his arrival from Salem, a very caustic character. The Crucible is the dramatized retelling of the infamous Salem witch hunt. So, the direct connection are the four performers I just mentioned. However, there were other similarities that would have held the attention of most Dark Shadows fans, and it did for me. I saw the Crucible when it first aired in 1967, and it had a strong impact on me. The Crucible was produced by David Suskins and directed by Alex Segal. Rather than producing this on film, it was made on video. And this gave it much the same look and feel of Dan Curtis's Dark Shadows, as well as his superior production of Robert Louis Stevenson's The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Now, let's take a look at Clarice Blackburn playing Abigail Collins, followed by a clip from The Crucible, which features her and Thayer David, and I think you'll agree the characters are quite similar to what...
Look you, Anne.
Oh, that's strange. Our Ruth's is open.
Your Ruth is sick?
The devil's touch is heavier than sick. She never waked this morning, but her eyes open. She walks and hears not, sees not, and cannot eat. Her soul is taken surely.
God have mercy.
They say you've sent for Reverend Hale of Beverly.
Peace! Peace!
Marshal, bring them into the vestry.
Enjoyed looking at that. Both were great character actors, and they played many different roles on Dark Shadows. Thayer David played Professor T. Elliot Stokes. He played Count Patofi. He played Stokes in Parallel Time. And I'm sure I'm overlooking other ones that he played. There were a lot of them. And Clarice Blackburn, she played, besides Abigail Collins, she was she was with the program through the rest of its run. She came onto the show very early on, and she was there for most of it. So so let's now take a short look at a short clip of Dana Elcar in his role as the Marshal from The Crucible.
You cannot harm me, and you cannot stop me from doing what I must do. Because I am protected by my faith.
mentioned earlier, if you have not seen this version of The Crucible, you can currently watch it with no charge on Tubi.com, Tubi. They have a very good copy of it that you can watch here. A little over 2 hours, but I tell you what, for me it went by like that, you know. Now the remainder of actors were all quite well known, and the cast also featured George C. Scott, Colleen Dewhurst, Melvin Douglas, Tuesday Weld, Fritz Weaver, and Grandpa Walton, Will Geer. So, and this was a while before the Waltons, but he looked the same, like he looked old in The Crucible, and he looked old in the Waltons. But anyways, let me summarize The Crucible for you. In the Puritan New England town of Salem, Massachusetts, a group of girls go dancing in the forest with a black slave named Tituba. While they are doing this, they are caught by the local minister, Reverend Parris, whose niece, Betty Parris, is one of the dancers, and she falls into a coma-like state, and a crowd gathers at the Parris home, while rumors of witchcraft fill the town. And having sent for Reverend Hale, an expert on witchcraft, Parris questions Abigail Williams, the girls' ringleader, about the events that took place in the forest. And Abigail, who is Parris's niece, as I said, and ward, admits to nothing beyond dancing. After that, all hell breaks loose in the village of Salem and does not conclude until many have been hanged for the act of witchcraft, which from everything I've read, there were no actual witches there. They were people that were persecuted because of political differences and economics and different things there, so that were going on in Salem at that time. So when all was said and done, as I said, 19 people had been executed, and these included Reverend John Proctor and Rebecca Nurse. Giles Corey died by being pressed with heavy stones, and both Sarah Good and Tituba confessed to colluding with the devil, and confession saved their lives, because the only way you could get out of the death sentence was by admitting that you committed the sin, whether you did or not. It was kind of crazy justice, but John Proctor finally falsely admitted to practicing witchcraft, colluding with the devil, but he later retracted that, and his wife Rebecca Nurse and Martha Corey were actually awaiting the same fate. But let's see, so over 100 of Salem's citizens were accused of witchcraft. One of them, Elizabeth Proctor, as I just mentioned, her husband, proclaims her innocence to her husband John, who had an affair with a girl named Abigail. And, excuse me. And realizing that Abigail had incited this witch hunt, John admits his adultery to save his wife, only to be convicted of devil worship. John is hanged while his pregnant wife is spared. So they had to do a little bit of digging for this episode of the Archaeology of Dark Shadows. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you'll take a look at The Crucible on Tubi, and I think you'll notice a lot of similarities between it and Dark Shadows. The rich, eerie atmosphere, it just draws you right in. It's not special effects or anything, just straightforward, but it really draws you in. Everyone was excellent in their portrayal. Well, again, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Archaeology of Dark Shadows, and I hope to be back with you relatively soon with yet another episode. I love all of you. God bless you. Stay healthy, stay safe, and be happy.